back,
كل
dear viewers.
الوشوش تعرف.
As we said earlier that we are
مصر
going
واليمن.
to talk this edition about a charity bazaar that will take place in the coming few days. It is organized by Asian Diplomats Spouse Association with the aim of raising funds to help the poor here in Egypt, especially women and children. And to shed more light on this charity bazaar, we are honored to be joined here in the studio with Mrs. Ranu Bhattacharyya. She's wife of the Indian ambassador here in Egypt. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Bhattacharyya. Can you start to tell us about this bazaar, which will be held on the 12th of November, and from where did you get the idea of hosting such a or holding such a bazaar?
Well, the bazaar has had a long history.
12 years, I believe.
Yes, about more than 15 years. And for the last few years, it's been very regular. And we've been noticing that there are increasing footfalls. There are lots of people who are interested in it. The aim of the bazaar is to provide funds for Egyptian charities. And so we try to do our best effort in hosting it. The bazaar actually is just one of the brainchilds of the association. And the association, the aim of the association, the mission statement is to provide for all the countries, the Asian countries, to get together and promote bonds of friendship and promote bonds of harmony between the people of their countries and the people of Egypt. So the bazaar is one of the efforts towards this endeavor.
Can you shed light on the preparations for this bazaar and your expectations this year, and how different it is from other charity events that took place in the past years?
Well, the preparations, as you can imagine, a long time ago.
Yes.
We are 24 countries, and we are, we all are spouses of diplomats. We are wives of diplomats in Egypt, and we have a lot of representational duties as well. But this is the highlight of our stay in Cairo. And what we do is we start preparations from early on in the year. We identify various jobs that we have to do. We form subcommittees, and that is overall. So we have subcommittees that will look after the ticketing, the publicity, the actual layout of and liaise with the hotel. And then, of course, we have our work back in our own embassies about getting the products, about cooking the food, because the focus is both on handicrafts as well as the cuisine of our countries. So there are twofold preparations. One is where all the countries are getting together and liaising with each other, as well as liaising with Egyptian organizations. And then there is backstage, there's a lot of work that's going on in the various embassies about getting some products, sorting them out, and trying to see that what would appeal to the Egyptian public.
Yes.
Ms. Bhattacharyya, can you tell us about the most important products which are on sale during that bazaar?
The most important products are generally handicrafts and food. I'll talk a little handicrafts. All our countries come, we have a very long tradition of handicrafts in our country, and these are small scale and cottage industries for most part, and they receive a lot of government help, and sometimes they don't receive so much government help. So it's an effort to make them sustainable, to provide new markets for them, and also to share our experiences, because Egypt has a long tradition of handicrafts as well, and to start this dialogue between our countries and the Egyptian handicrafts as well. So that is one of the aspects, as well as food. We've noticed since we've come to Egypt that Egyptian people love food.
And especially Indian food, I believe.
Indian food, of course, and they're very, very adventurous about trying out different cuisines. So this is an effort to promote and to really share some of our own foods, Because sometimes when you go to a restaurant and you want to try out Indian food, or you want to try out Thai food, or maybe Vietnamese food, the restaurant experience versus what we make it, ourselves,
it's not the same.
Very different. So we want to share what it is, what do we really eat at home, how do we prepare it. So that was the other two things. Handicrafts and food are going to be the two main things. The third thing is that we like to share some of our culture as well. So one of the highlights of the bazaar is that we have cultural performances from different countries.
Interesting.
And so we like to share some of the dances, some of the music. So the bazaar ends up having a very festive atmosphere.
So can you shed light on some of the activities of the Asian Diplomat Spouse Association in general?
Our logo is that of, if I have a chance to share it with you, is that of it's a big circle, and it's a circle of blue, which signifies an ocean of harmony. In the midst of it is a pyramid, which signifies Egypt. It stands for Egypt.
Yes.
Inside the pyramid, we have golden leaves, which signify all the different countries. So starting from that, our mission is to promote bonds of friendship and harmony. So what we do through the year, after the bazaar is over, what we'll do is we're committed to spending all the funds raised at the bazaar towards Egyptian charities. All the countries, we pool our funds together, and then our major work actually starts again after the bazaar, because we identify a lot of Egyptian charities and non-governmental organizations which are in need of aid. We visit them, we see where their need is, and then we try and provide them with funds. Sometimes they don't want the funds, they would rather that we buy the thing that they need, maybe mattresses or sewing machines. Some of them need washing machines, so we do that as well. And then we go back on visits to them and see what are they doing with the funds, are they being used, and in an effort to kind of continue this dialogue.
Yes. Ms. Bhattacharyya, do you work in collaboration here with the many NGOs, or how do you do that?
We do. Again, we have several subcommittees within our organization, and different ladies will take on the charge of approaching different organizations. We have an institutional memory of several charitable organizations that we've supported in the past, and we continue to support them because it is a relationship that we built up over time. So we don't want to suddenly say that, oh, this year we have no funds for you. So it's a sustainable relationship that we are looking forward to growing. And different ladies take charge of getting a little delegation together, and we go and visit them. We're also very open to new organizations, so we're always on the lookout for other institutions or organizations or schools or orphanages that need our help, and we begin this dialogue by going on a site visit, then by coming back and reporting back to all the members, and then by saying, is this worth supporting or not? Because it's a collective decision.
Indeed.
So the bazaar will be inaugurated by Her Excellency Minister of Social Solidarity, Mrs. Ghada Wali. So are you collaborating with the Ministry of Solidarity in other domains?
Well, I think her presence speaks for, her presence at the bazaar will be a great boost to our bazaar, and it speaks for, I think, her commitment towards this, yes. Association and the work that we are doing, and also towards the work with the handicrafts, yes, and supporting the small-scale industries.
Ms. Bhattacharyya, can you tell us about how to promote for that bazaar? How do people know about it? Who are the expected guests to come and visit in order to increase, of course, the income for the benefit of the charity organization?
That's a wonderful question, because really we are really looking for increasing our funds so that we can give back.
Indeed.
You know, so it is like help us, help you.
Of course.
So in the past, it has been mainly through word of mouth, I think. We have posters around the city, and we try and promote it through that. this year we've gone a step further. We've held a press briefing. We've tried to promote it because last year we noticed that as we reached out to different people, more people came in, and our goods are not priced very high. We don't want it to be a bazaar for just the elite, because they have access to different markets. We want this bazaar to be for people who may not have traveled to India, who may not have traveled to Japan, and we want those people to come and get a taste, because it's a mixture. It's not just goods, it's handicrafts, it's food, it's
cultural activities.
Exactly. So we want to familiarize people who haven't been there to those countries. We want to welcome them as well.
So are you going to display the Indian sari in the bazaar? Because I think it's quite interesting for many Egyptian women to buy it.
It is indeed we are hoping to get a few saris.
Yes.
We do have a lot of Indian costumes which are easier to wear.
Because I believe it's complicated to know how to wear the sari? Or?
It can be complicated. I mean, of course, you have YouTube videos which show you. So it can be complicated, but it need not be once you get the hang of it. It's a very comfortable garment. But there are other more comfortable garments which we have in India, which have the same kind of embroidery. They'll have the same kind of thread work. They'll have they'll have that flavor of India, but it's just easier to wear rather than saris.
Yes.
So yes, go Mahesti.
As we were talking about the cultural activities here that will be in the bazaar as well, how do you see the cultural activities of India here in Egypt? Because we have had before the India by the Nile, of course, which was a great event. We have witnessed cultural activities, dancing, food, and people are also interested about the Indian dancing and Indian yoga.
So we have a very, very active embassy here.
Yeah, indeed.
We have a cultural center, the Maulana Azad Center, and they promote cultural activities. There are dance classes, there are yoga lessons over there. India by the Nile, the big festival, is going to enter its 5th year next year, and it's a very exciting time for us. And we want to begin much earlier. We want to start, not just have the 2-week festival, but begin much earlier. So you are going to be exposed to different forms of Indian culture, beginning maybe as early as 3 months before the actual festival in April or May. We also want to extend the festival to more than Cairo. Last year we extended it to many more cities, and this year the aim is to reach even further, to reach maybe Upper Egypt and some of the other places, so that people over there also get a flavor of what it is, dance, music, fashion, food, handicrafts. All of these things are going to be promoted during the period of the festival. So we are looking for a wider time frame. We are planning for it because, again, this takes a lot of planning.
Indeed.
We are planning for a wider time frame as well as a wider geographical framework. So it's a very exciting time we are entering into as we finish this bazaar and we move on to the next phase of the planning of the cultural activities.
Indeed.
So can you tell us more about the activities that will take place on the sidelines of this charity bazaar?
On the sidelines of the charity bazaar will be, you mean in the Indian embassy or all the embassies?
Both. It's okay.
So Indian embassy, we continue with our regular cultural activities, our yoga classes and the dance classes, our regular programs. We have another very exciting initiative, which is the reaching out to the children of Egypt. And just a couple of weeks back, we held a large painting competition. It's called Glimpses of India, the prize distribution of which is going to be in November. And the broad topic of this is India, Egypt, Friends Forever. And the children came up with beautiful, beautiful drawings, amazing. We had, this year, we had more than 10,000 children participate in this painting competition. And the idea is to reach out to them and to extend that hand of friendship, really, and to build relationships right from the beginning. Also, I think the other embassies have similar cultural activities which carry on throughout the year. There are food festivals under various embassies. There's a Thai food festival, there's a Chinese big cultural festival. So throughout the year, I think all the embassies are, you know, going with the similar kind of ideas about exchanging and building bonds of friendship.
Ms. Bhattacharya, as we talk about India and culture, we have to mention that many Egyptians are really fond of the Indian dancing, the Indian yoga, the food, and of course the drama. So how do you promote for these things here, and how people can take training courses? Because I believe here the cultural the Indian Cultural Center is doing great activities as well. So do you provide training classes for cooking classes for Indian food, for example? Do you provide that?
Well, we don't have cooking classes at the embassy, but very recently I actually did a feature with a magazine where I shared a little bit about, it's a magazine called Al Bayt, and I shared a little bit about, you know, what the food philosophy of India is, which is based on well-being. It's a food philosophy called Ayurveda, which is also, it's related to yoga. And so we did a feature, and I shared a lot of our recipes, my personal recipes. But cooking classes sound very exciting. I'm going to share that idea once I go back, and if there is an audience for it, I think that would be exciting.
I believe that people might be so excited about that, because I believe that many Egyptians are really fond of the Indian food.
Yes, yes. We do have a food festival where we collaborate with Four Seasons Hotel. Now this year maybe we'll be collaborating with Conrad as well, and have an Indian food festival so that we are able to share some of our cuisine. The yoga classes, what is interesting is, of course, we have the regular classes by a very versed yoga teacher. But what he has been doing is coaching a generation of young Egyptians who've gone on to open their own centers. So, you know, it is, the Indian embassy is like one point. But from that one point, many other points are being created. We had International Yoga Day, again, many thousands of visitors, and we held it at Azhar Park this year. And many thousands of visitors. Then we went on to Alexandria, did yoga by the ocean, and it was just absolutely marvelous. So what is happening is we are hoping to create and encourage, because yoga is really about well-being. It's about holistic well-being, being in touch with your inner self and being in touch with, you know, your environment. So we are hoping to create people who can train others, not just have
I believe now there are many centers around Egypt for yoga.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that gives us great joy, because that's what the endeavor is, to create many points of contact.
Yes. Ms. Bhattacharya, you have kindly mentioned while talking about the food that it's not only cooking, but it's a kind of Ayurveda as well. So can you shed more light about how it is a spiritual thing to cook, not only do some recipes? How do you link the Ayurveda here with the cooking?
Well, food in India is a huge part of our lifestyle, and the best food that you get is actually at the homes, not restaurants. And we have food that we have inherited recipes from generations. Food in India is from different parts is also very different, but the center is very much Ayurveda, which is well-being, the science of well-being. And what it says is that you have to eat in accordance, you have to eat in balance. So your body is in harmony with, all food is constituted of different elements. It has heat-giving properties, it has, you know, water-giving properties. All food has these kind of properties inherent in them. And it's not just vegetables, but vegetables and fruit and non-vegetarian meat, chicken, fish, as well as a lot of grains and seeds. Each one of them has some inherent properties, and when you combine them in certain ways, you can enhance harmony within your body. Also, it's not enough to only have one taste in your food. The Indians believe that we have to make sure that all 6 tastes are present in every meal. So you have the sweet, the salt, the bitter, the astringent, the pungent, all in one meal in different kinds of properties. So you're always in balance. If you're missing, if your body is craving you know, too much sweet, maybe you should balance it out with a little bit of the salt and the bitter at the same time. So it's a holistic sense of well-being.
So do you find a similarity between Egyptians and Indians after living here in Egypt for
a lot of similarities, and I feel really very much at home in Egypt. I think because of the similarities. I think the importance of family is very, very central to both our cultures. You know, whether we come from large families, and we might not live in large families, we might live in nuclear families, but the bonds of that extended family is very common. So that sense of family and belonging is very similar. I think the festivity, every occasion is an occasion to celebrate and to get together, the food, to have food together, to sit together and eat. These are some similarities between the Egyptian people and the Indian people. Love for color, love for, you know, just joy in life, I think, is very similar.
Ms. Bhattacharyya, do you believe that this bazaar, which will take place soon, could play a role in promoting tourism, and we can also increase the level of tourism between both Egypt and India?
We hope so. We hope that this is a small endeavor in that towards that goal, because we report back to our own countries all the time, you know, and your country, Egypt, has embassies in all these countries. So the idea is to promote these kind of ideas, and both in encouraging people from Egypt to visit, as well as encouraging people from our countries to visit. So that is our endeavor in the large scale of things.
Indeed.
So how can Egyptians benefit from the Indian experience in small and medium enterprises?
I think one of there are 2 things. I think one is training. Well, actually, that's 3 things. So one would be training, and to make sure that these people, these crafts don't die out, because they are very often they are more attractive, or so-called seemingly attractive propositions for the younger generation. They might not want to weave, they might not want to embroider. So it is really important for them to be trained and to be able to carry this tradition forward. The second is sustainability, I think, and how do you make it sustainable? And that's where it leads from training, because the younger generation that is being trained also needs to be educated. So you know, we would like to make sure that their education is proceeding alongside with their handwork. A lot of it is very intricate handwork, and it should not be at the cost of their education, because education finally opens doors to everything. And the third thing I would say is creating, sustaining markets, creating markets. In India, one of the things that has happened, and it has happened over the last maybe 30 or 40 years, throughout the time that I was growing up, is this great thrust towards promoting handicrafts and bringing handicrafts back from the, you know, the villages and the small scale industries to the cities. and from the cities into people's homes. So in Indian people's homes, you would find Indian handicrafts. You would find in every Indian woman's wardrobe, you would find Indian saris. So those crafts have a living market. It's not that, oh, we have an exhibition once in once in a while, and somebody goes and buys one thing.
So it's an ongoing process.
Exactly.
But Ms. Bhattacharya, how do you keep this tradition? Because with the modern life and the modern style of living, the modern way of dressing, how do you still keep the sari, the traditional artifacts? How do you keep that?
I think each generation has that responsibility.
Welcome back, and we are still hosting Mrs. Ranu Bhattacharya, wife of the Indian ambassador here in Egypt. And as we are talking about the charity bazaar that will take place in the coming few days here in Egypt to raise funds for poor. One final message to Egyptians to come and join this bazaar and help you in your mission.
We would like to welcome all your viewers. As their friends and family to come and experience a little flavor of Asia. Like I said before, the more visitors we receive, the better we are able to help and give back. I think it's very important for us. We are committed to our mission of giving back. So we would like to welcome as many visitors as could come and join us in this endeavor.
Okay.
Indeed, Ms. Ranu Bhattacharya, the wife of the Indian ambassador to Egypt, thank you very much, and we wish you the best of luck in your bazaar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And